Okay, so what you see here is a typical worksheet where all we've done is sat down, typed in, titles, we put labels in there, we put numbers in there without commas, we've done calculations that haven't been, converted to anything. We have like the meat of the worksheet in there now. All we need to do is make it look better, because anybody looking at this right now is going to get a little confused. It's going to be very hard to read. They're not going to know when they first look at a number, is it in the thousands or double-digit thousands or whatever. So it's just hard to see. It doesn't jump out. It doesn't invite anybody's eyeballs in there to see this, right? To read it and understand what you're trying to convey. So we're going to take some time here and just cover some of the more general formatting tools. I mean, we don't have a ton of these things, but there's enough to keep you busy. There really are. So I want to just kind of start out, first of all, when I first look at this, I say, okay, the title, all right? Now, the title right now is kind of like on the first row, which is fine, and it's actually on cell address A1, and it's just kind of freeloading over the other cells here. So technically, it's no part of it is in B1 or C1. It's all here in A1. Now, what I need to do is get this title centered perfectly between A and J, okay? Now, in the olden days, before we had the tool I'm about to show you, you'd end up going up to here on your formula bar and hitting the space bar whatever number of times you think you need to, all right? And then you hit the enter key to see where it ended up at. So you have all this extra space pushing it over like that, right? That's crazy. Well, that's what we had to do back then. I'm going to go back in there and just bring this back. So, all right, so enter that in. All right, so how do you make that happen? How do you make that happen properly? So what you'll do is you'll select from A1 all the way to J1. That's the width of our worksheet. We're then going to go in the Home tab. Now, the Home tab has a majority of your formatting tools. Okay, so this is where you go to format. All right, so you click on the Home, and you'll see in here there's a button there called Merge and Center. All right, what this will do is it'll merge all the cells together and then center it within that one big cell. Now, if you didn't think of using that, instead you say, well, I think I'll just hit the center button. What happens if you hit the center button is it centers it at A1. So half of it you're seeing, the other half is off to the left there somewhere, not doing us much good, all right? So the better way of doing it would be to click on to Merge and Center, and you do that, and it merges all the cells as one. It's still considered to be cell address A1, by the way. And then you have your title there. The next thing I like to do is maybe center the labels, for the columns here. I don't like them on the far left there, so I'm just going to select this whole range like that and make it centered as well, see? Like that. Now, the next thing that we have here are the numbers, all right? The numbers are not looking real good. I mean, they're good, they're big numbers and everything, but they're hard to read. At minimum, you want to get the comma in there. Now, if you want to go as far as putting dollar symbols on every one of them, that's fine. I'm not much into that because I think the dollar symbol is very distracting, makes it hard to read. So what I like to do is just do the commas. So what you can do is you go ahead and you select this whole range like that. Now we're going to do those decimals with something else here. So I'm just going to do this whole range here. And then once I've done that, in the Home tab, you have in the number group here, the comma format, all right? You click onto that, and it does that on you, right? Now what's happened is that the number in each of the cells there has become much wider than what the column is set up to do. And the main reason for that, why I did make it wider, is because it put the comma in there, and it also put a 0.00, so it put 2 decimal places in there as well. We don't need any of that. So to fix this, what you can do, I mean, you can do, there's a couple ways you can go about this, but let's just do it this way. What you could do is you could select all of these columns that happen to have those little pound symbols. So the pound symbols are saying that there's numbers in here, but the width of the cell is not wide enough to display it fully, so it's not going to display it at all. So we select that whole range there, point to any one of the borders here, double click it, and there we go. And now you can actually see the comma, the point, and the 0 to 0. That's what gave it all the width, all that extra width. Now we really don't need the decimals in here, right? So we're going to go in that same number group area, and we got these two buttons right here. This would give us more decimals. This would give us less decimals. So we'll go and click onto that a couple times. Oh, yeah, I'm not able to do that because I've got other things selected that aren't numbers. So what I have to do is go back in there and just reselect this range, okay? And then once I've done that, then I can say decrease, decrease. There we go, right? Not bad. And before we correct the column widths, let's do one more thing here. Let's go over here where we've got our total, or actually percentage of total. And what's happened here is that it's letting us know with this calculation, let me just show you the beginning part here, that January's 264,000 is about a little over 9.5% of the total. In other words, January is contributing almost 10% to the overall sales of the year. Okay, that's what that calculation does. And you can learn all about that calculation in my Module 4 videos, which are the formulas, right? But anyway, point is, I don't even want to see these as decimals. I'd rather see this as a percentage, okay? So I'm going to select that whole range, right? Go into my number area and choose the percentage button, and that gives me a percentage. Now, if I want to get a little bit more, accuracy, I guess, I can tell it that I want to add some decimals. I can maybe go 1, 2, and add 2 decimals to that. That's not bad. That looks good. All right? So there we go on that one. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I need to get the columns in place here. So I'm going to select everything. I'm just going to have to select all like that, right? Oh, by the way, let me just show you this first. If I want to change and get this exactly the perfect width that it needs to be, I could just go to the right side of that one, double click it, and it will make it the exact width that it needs to be. I don't feel like having to do that for all of them. So what I do is I just select everything, just like that, go to one of these, double click it, and they all get resized. So far, we've made this look a lot more readable. That's much better looking than it was before. I can look at this and say, oh, I can see what these numbers are. Oh, 10,000 here, 26,000 there, I see that. Now, a few other things. To make the labels kind of stand out and make the title and so forth stand out, what we need to do is maybe add a little bit of the style to this. So over here we've got bold and italic and underline and all that stuff, and we got color and things like that. So let's first of all start out just with the bolding, okay? So we got to actually click on to here, all right? Click on a bold, and there's bolded, right? I can select this range right here. Hit bold, make that bold, right? Go to this range right here, select that, make it bold, all right? I'm also maybe anticipating and wanting the totals to kind of stand out a little bit more, so I'll select the totals down here and make them bold, and I might as well do these as well and make those bold. See, that's easy, pretty quick thing to do there. All right, so now another thing we can do is we can add some extra spacing in here. Now, watch this. If I take my my pointer here and get right between 1 and 2 there, I get that double tipped arrow. This time I'm just going to hold down the mouse and drag it down a little bit, and I make that a little bit taller, right? I'll do the same thing with row 2, make that just a tad taller, and I can make this also taller, All right, so that gives a little bit more space. Kind of makes it stand out. Then what I can do is I can select this and select that and go up here and hit the middle align, and that kind of pulls them up. And I can do the same thing on these as well. I can select that, hit the middle align, perfect. All right, not bad. Now, the other thing is sizing. All right, you don't want to get too wild with your sizes. I mean, you don't want to have like 10 different sizes going on here, but I would say that the title that we have here at the top here definitely can be made a little bit bigger, kind of make it kind of stand out more, right? So you click onto there. You can either go to here and hover over and see which one you want to go with there, or you can use the up or down arrow A's here, see the little up arrow and the down arrow to make it smaller or larger. Now let's say you brought it up to maybe 20 and you're going, well, that's okay, but I think I want it somewhere between 18 and 20, right? So if you want 19, let's say, all you have to do is just click on to the number on the right side of it, type in the number 19, and make sure you hit the enter key. And that will then make it 19. That's how you do that. You can even make it 19 and a half if you wanted to, by 19.5. So that looks good, all right? So if that's 19, all right? Everything else is going to be 13. So you might say, well, maybe I'll make these headings right here, I'll make them maybe 15. So I'll hit the up arrow one time, two times. That's a little too big. Bring it down. Well, see, so what we had before was 13, right? So on here, if we make it 14, I think that's pretty good, right? We do the same thing with the labels over here. Make those also 14. Now, hit the up arrow key, there's 14. Because it got bigger, it made the row a little bit taller too, as you notice that. So that's not too bad. Now, the next step to all of this might be adding some bordering in there. You don't want to put borders on everything because it just doesn't make anything stand out at that point. But it might be kind of nice to have maybe a top and bottom border on this row right here. So we can select that range. In the Home tab, in the Font area, we have our little border button. We click onto that arrow, and you got all these different ways you can make it look. Now, if this is further out somewhere, we could actually maybe do the outside borders, and that way you'd be able to see the left side and the right side, or the right side you'll see, but the left side. But in this case, what we want to do is we're going to go down to here where it says top and bottom border. Now, that would be the same thing as you doing the bottom border and the top border again, right? You'd have to do the bottom border, come back in, do the top border, or just go and do the top and bottom border, right? Right here. So we click onto that, click away from it, there it goes. I mean, that really makes it jump out. Now think about this. We haven't really used any color. We have everything basically in black and white here right now, all right? So without even having to bother with color, you can make this really kind of stand out. So we can do the same thing on row 15 here. So we select that range. Make sure that you don't do the 15 because you're going to extend past there and you're going to get the borders over here as well. And because you got the borders there, when you go to print this, it's going to want to print out the column, whatever it is, 16,384, whatever that is, right? You don't want to do that. So you make sure you got that area selected right there. And we can just hit the face of the button here because that shows the very last thing we did, which was what we saw in row 2 there. So we can just click on that, click away from it, and there we go. If you want to make this stand out a little bit, we can go ahead and highlight this range right here. Go over to our drop down and tell it we want to put a border on the left, and then go back in there again, put a border on the right, and then we'll go ahead and we'll select this range and tell it we want to put a border on the right. See, so we'll just, and it's already on the right now, so I'll just click on that again, and there we go. You got something like that. So it kind of draws the eyeball's attention to different areas by just doing those simple little tricks with the spacing, with the bolding, and with the bordering. Now I'm going to have it take up another notch here, take it up another notch, I should say. And I want to make this border something other than black, okay? And I'm also wanting maybe to change the border thickness just a little bit. Now, I really don't have that available in our button up here. So here's what we do. We'll select this range, just like that. And you can go to, into the Home tab, go to any one of your dialog boxes that you have here, those little buttons there. Click it. It takes you into here, and we're going to go to border, right? It's got a lot of stuff we can do here. Now, currently, I've got this selected, which is really what this is. What it's showing is that along the top is my border, along the bottom is my border, and partially on a few of them, there is a border here, meaning we got a border here and I've got a border here, vertical. That's what that's showing, all right? Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the size, all right? So we're going to keep this size right here, but we're going to make the color something else. Let's say we want to make the color a light blue, something like this maybe, right? So click on that, and now we're using that size, that color. Now, nothing changes here until we go click and click, or you could have clicked onto the buttons here. It would have done the same thing. If you click too many times, then you lose it, right? But if you click it again, it comes back again, see? So you do that. That's all we have to do. Hit OK. Click away from it, and there's your blue, okay? Now all we have left is to maybe fix these guys here as well, right? So now watch this one. We're going to select both of these, all right? We're going to go back into our dialog box, go back to the border. Now, take a look at this thing. Now, because we've got this area selected, it's showing the black border on, this is like the last column, and this is the second to last, right? So this is column I and column J, basically, right? Here are the black borders, right? So we're going to go back in there. We're going to pick that same color, all right? And I'm going to go click onto there, click onto there, click onto there, and click onto there. How about that, all right? So we do all that, hit OK, and there we go. Perfect, all right? It's a little tedious, but I mean, I'm doing this many times here because I want to kind of reinforce it with you. So now I want to do the same thing for here, right? So I'm going to go and select that range. Go back into my dialog, doesn't matter which one here. Go back to my border. And now this one is kind of showing, because I'm at the top here, right? It's kind of showing nothing, just the gray at the top. We got the blue on the side. We got the black at the bottom. And then we've got something kind of in between here. All we really need to do is change the 3 here. So again, we'll go back in here, pick our blue, and we're going to go with, so this one's already done, all right? So all we really need to do is probably the bottom, all right, like that, and then also the top, see? And there we go. We're not going to do the middle one because, well, it doesn't matter if we do the middle one, but if we do the middle one, it's going to want to do it all the way for all of these, right? And so we're leaving that alone because it's already blue anyway on there. So we're going to go ahead now, let me pull it back up again, and hit OK. Click away from it, and there we go. I think if you understand what I just have done here, it'll make any situation where maybe you've got just some really weird bordering in a particular range to be able to select that range and fix it, all right? The other thing to keep in mind too, all right, is that if you want to get rid of all your bordering, you can actually, let's say, take the range here all the way down to here, and you can actually just go back into here and tell it that I want no border. And if you do no border, it's all gone. Now I'm going to hit undo to bring that back, but that's what you would do if you want to get rid of it. And there you go. It's not really jumping out at you, but it's there, all right? Now another little thing that has nothing to do with anything we've done so far, I just want to make this a little bit taller, this row here. So I'm just going to go back over here, pull that down a little bit, and now it's a little bit taller. That was kind of bugging me. Anyway, so let's talk about color now, all right? So if you wanted to change your, let's say the color of your font up here, okay? I mean, of the entire title, all you really have to do is click onto it, like that, right? Go into your font color here and pick some color. So let's say we wanted to go with maybe a kind of a blue here, all right? And there we go. Now, if I'd like to make the word shark, and only the word shark, in red, what would I do? Well, you'd click on that cell. You could double click it at that point as well. It'll get you in the edit mode, and then you can do a double click on shark or highlight shark, however you want to do it. And then most everything's grayed out except, look at that, the color. So we can go in there and I can make that now red. And I can also go there and it's already bolded, so nothing to do there. So once we've done that, then you can just kind of click away from it, and there you go. So that's how you can make it partially that way. You can do the same thing, and I'll just do it for one of them here. Let's say if you wanted to make the letter C in chip red, you would double click it, select the letter C, hit the A up there, click away from it, and there you go. I'll hit undo because I really don't want to do that, but that's another thing you can do there. Now let's say we want to make the labels maybe a different color, right, that we have here. So we can select that range, all right? Now we go back to the font color, we have these colors, and we have some standard colors here, and as you're hovering you can see all the different things they could be, but I don't want any of those. So I'm going to hit more colors, and I can either go to this little swatch here and find some off-the-wall color. Maybe I want to get this kind of color red, or maybe this color of blue, right? I can do any of those. And I can also go to custom. So whatever color you picked here, you can then go to custom, and that's the color that you have right now in custom, but then you can like increase the saturation of it, or decrease the saturation, or go in there and just kind of point and hold on your mouse and drag it and find a color that you might like to go with. And then you might say, well, I like that color right there, but I want a little bit more purple, so I will drag this down just a little bit, and that will give me a little bit more saturation, more of that color in there, right? And you can kind of see your red, green, blue calculation here, I guess. And technically what it means is that we've got, we basically have white ink to begin with, but we put in 113 drops of red, 92 drops of green, and 242 drops of blue, and that will give us that color. It's kind of like going to the paint store and they're mixing colors for you. So that's how that works. So that's perfect. So we go ahead and we hit OK, and there we go on that one. I'm not real keen on those colors, but we'll go along with them anyway. Now another thing I can do is I can actually change the background color, okay, using the little paint bucket that we have here. So if I click onto the title, I can change the entire background from white to whatever. As go back in the drop down, as I hover, it'll show me the colors that I have. I might say, okay, yep, that looks good right there. I'll click it, there it is. That's one way. If I take this range, all right, I can go back in the paint bucket and I can go to more colors and I can pick something like that. But another way we can do this is I can make a pattern in the back, okay? Because right now it's just a solid kind of color that we're getting, right? So if we go to one of the dialog boxes, go over into the fill area here, right here. This will be the background, okay? These colors here are what we got from here, okay? So we don't really need to mess with those. What we're going to do, though, is over here in the pattern, we're going to go to the style and pick what kind of pattern we want to go with. Now, a lot of these are not very useful. What a lot of people use this stuff for is that they will select a whole range, like from here to here, and use one of these as a border. So they'll pick a border, they'll shrink it a little bit, and you'll see that. Well, I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, but right now we're just looking to do this part here, and we still want to keep it readable, right? So we click on the pattern there. We'll get this, black dots with the white background. Now what you can do is you can change the pattern color to some other color. So if you want to go with red or whatever colors, I'll pick red. You can see what it does there for you. So then we hit OK, and there goes that. And you're like, oh no, that's pretty wild, Chip. Now the other little thing we can do as far as background color, we're going to do it on this one down here, is we can use a gradient. Okay, gradient just means it goes from one color to another, all right, within the same area. So you select that area, hit one of your dialog boxes. We're going to go to Fill, and this time we're going to go to Fill Effects. Now it defaults to blue, which you see there, so white, blue, there's your white, there's your blue, there's your white, there's your blue, there's your white, and so forth, right? Horizontal, vertical, whatever. I will say for what we're doing, the horizontal is probably going to be your best bet, only because if you go with, let's say, the vertical, you're going to get that in each of the cells, all right? So that might be good if you're doing like a border going down or something like that, but that's how that works. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to go with horizontal, but I don't like the blue. I want to go with some other color. Maybe I want to have the blue on the outside. Maybe I want to pick this one, but I want the blue on the outside. What do? Well, I go to this one here. I pick that blue, whatever it is, something close to it, right? A little bit darker, I guess. So I pick that blue, but then on this one, on the second one here, I make that a white. So something like that, or a gray, whatever. I go ahead and I pick this one here, hit OK, there it is. That's pretty wild. All right, now let me just show you a little bit with the borders using other stuff here. If I were to select this range right here, all right, go back into my dialog, right, go to my border, or I'm sorry, my fill here, and I'm going to pick the pattern, maybe this diagonal here, right? So I pick that. I'll go with orange, something like that. Hit OK. It does that whole thing. Then what I can do is I can then make this much narrower like that, and now that acts as a border, and that's how you get that to be. And you can do the same thing with the gradient if you wanted to pick that as well. Now I got another thing I want to show you with this, and that is column J's label. All right. This is the width that it is. I mean, they're pretty narrow numbers. I mean, not much in there as far as width goes there, but the thing is much wider than it needs to be because of the fact that it has to display this whole thing. So the thought is that maybe either trim it off, or we can maybe just make it % total and people will get the idea. But if you didn't want to shorten it up, what's another alternative? And that would be to have within the same cell 2 lines within the same cell, and have a kind of word wrap. So one way of doing this would be to click onto the cell here, click on the word wrap, or wrap text I should say in this case, and click onto that. Now nothing happens, but now when I go back and I make that column a little bit narrower, it does this. Now if I do that, then I probably have to go over here to row 2 and pull it down a little bit so I can see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then maybe go back in there and you can make that just a little bit narrower, and there we go. And that would be perfect. Nothing wrong with that. If there's a situation though where you want the % to be on one row, or one line I guess, and of total to be on the next one, you're not going to be able to do it with this because you're not going to get to that point. You're going to make it narrower and narrower to a point where it's not going to be able to move of to the next line because of it being so narrow. So the other way of doing it would be to, I'm going to just go ahead and hit undo here a couple times here, all right? So instead what would be is you click on that cell, and you can either double click it here or click up here, but position yourself at the beginning of, all right? So we want the percentage to be on that one row, and then everything else on the second, row or line, right? So what you do now is, once you're in that position, normally if you're in word processing or whatever, you'd hit the enter key. But if you hit the enter key, all it's going to do is say, okay, that's what you want, and it enters it in, and it doesn't do anything. But if you hold down the alternate key, that's the key, the alternate key, hit the enter key, there you go. And then hit the enter key, see? And then I can go and pull this back down a little bit, and there we go. And then you've got that. Now, last but not least, if you receive a worksheet from somebody, or maybe you did it yourself, and you're looking at it and you're going, my God, this thing is a mess, okay? How do I fix it? Or how do I get rid of the formatting, right? Well, let me show you how you get rid of part of it. Let's say, for instance, you want to get rid of this, right? Now, I would tell you an easy way to do it would be just get rid of column K and you're done. But just in case maybe there's something in there that you don't want to delete, then how do you maintain that? Well, what you do is you just kind of select the area like this, select that range, right? And then you'll go back in the Home tab, and over here we have this little eraser icon. When you click onto it, one of the choices is Clear Format. So you click onto that, done. That easy, all right? So if you decide that you really don't like the formatting that you did up here, you click onto that, hit the eraser, and clear your formats. All right, but look what happens. That's a real mess. I hit undo, it comes back. Now, on the other hand, if you say, you know what, let me just start over again. All right, so we could actually just select the whole worksheet, or you can just select, the range, whatever you want to do. Go back to the eraser and hit clear formats. Now, understand, if you say clear all, what's going to do? It's going to get rid of everything. It's going to get rid of the format, the content, everything. We don't want that. We want this one right here. You can also see we have the clearing of the contents and the comments that we were talking about a little bit earlier, all right? You can get rid of them that way too. But in our case, we just want to clear the formats, right? So we click onto that, and now we're pretty much back to what we were before. What we had done here, for some reason, it doesn't get as far as specific things that we changed in there as well. So that's why you see that. But other than that, I mean, you could always just click on this cell here, hit your little paintbrush, click onto here. Well, it's still not going to change. I would say we'd have to just double click it over here, right? Get that whole thing in there. And we can just maybe select it like this, go back, and we'll have to just, I don't think we can do this over here. I guess we could clear all. That's not going to work too much. But because we had specifically gone in there and changed that, that's going to get kind of messed up there. So the most that we can do in here is maybe change the, get rid of the color, kind of change that to just automatic, all right? Go in there and change the size. Go in there and just pick, whatever size we want from there. Hit the bold, and that turns that off. Hit it again, now it's all off. And there we go. All right, so a little problem there, but not any big deal. But still, those are the kind of things you run into once in a while. But anyway, hopefully this helps you in what you're trying to do with your worksheets. I mean, every worksheet needs to be formatted, so you got to do this, all right? So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I know it was a long video. Take care.